First of all, without telling much, the minimum beginning is that you should have your clear focus of attention on the instruction itself. Look at the things around you and try to report what you did in the process of, in the name of looking at them.
Should we talk about all the things that we are seeing, or one thing, that is, we scan through lots of things and then focus our attention on one of the aspects? Should we talk about everything or one of the aspect?
Now, what was the instruction?
Okay. Look at all the things around you and report what you did see in the process of looking at them.
Yeah, do that. Do only that. What did you do in order to look at them?
When we are looking at them, we are trying.
No. Do not give a theoretical explanation. That is the way you begin when we are looking at them. You just report very genuinely what you did when I looked at them. So you would say, you would talk about what you exactly did.
Yeah. So when I looked at them, I formed, there's a mental imagery that is getting formed as it's a reflection of what I am seeing. It is getting into.
No. That's not the answer to the question.
Hmm.
What did you say now? You again said an interpretation or some explanation.
Okay.
What did you do to look at them?
The mind, I was trying to focus. I was trying to focus.
Do not think it's a very plain reporting, actually, because as you have to always remember, we are all educated, so-called experienced people, looking at things and talking about them for years together, every day, many times. We just grasp something in general and talk about that. No. Because this is about attention. Attention is the greatest engine of any organism. It is not easy to talk about attention. Even if you talk about attention, it may not be easy to identify what is the thing being talked about. But we will try a roundabout way, beating around the bush, to get to the linkage of that invariant of you, that whoever is doing that doing of attention on something, that linkaging process is that I am trying today. All right, come on. How did you look around that? And if you master your attention, last time, like Parvati said, nothing is beyond that, because everything is possible by the power of attention, and power of attention at its finest focus and speed. So, uh, uh, to tell you generally, your attentions are all very normal. You have to do the reporting. It's just not about you learning theories of attention. Perhaps I am the only one in the whole world trying to get you, or try to get you uh, uh, somewhat familiar with the possible, probable nature of your own attention. Your attention. Do not sit there to learn theories about attention. Attention is something that is right now going on with every one of you. If you, if your consciousness or if your awareness can be considered a laboratory, right now that phenomenon of attention is going on. And I told you the power of attention. Entire world of philosophies and technologies and sciences and whatsoever, they all have been created by the power of attention. Attention to whatever they observed, attention to whatever they perceived, attention to whatever they imagined, then attention to how they were translating whatsoever they observed into languages, and then again refocusing their attention on the integrity of that language, whether it is conceptually clear, properly explaining things, and so on and so forth. Again, having their attention on making it into a document or a article or a book. Okay? It is by the power of attention that all the tools, whether it is the prehistoric man or the primitive man or the modern man, all those tools have been devised, designed, and set by the power of attention, focused on whatever is to be done. And finally, it depends on your power of attention, how you yourself would guide you and direct you and evolve you and finally create the genius level of the being of you. So, therefore, I began with something very simple. Look around some objects right now around you or before you. If it is a table, if there are two, three, four, five things, look at minimum three different things and tell me what you were doing. Because you understand why I'm asking you to do this. In the process of your identifying what you have been doing, that is the best way which I am trying. Understand that? Yeah, all right. So tell me what you have been doing. If you have understood, or if you were able to focus your attention on what you were doing, you must be able to say something closer, at least to third orbit closer to that invariant of attention. Like how plastic molecules are connected with a pen, linkaged with a pen. If the pen is your attention, you have to talk about something at the orbit of plastic molecules, at least some distant orbit uh, reporting. All right. What did you do? Or what were you doing uh, when you did whatever you did? When I told you to look around to at least three objects in your front around you.
Using my eyes to look at the object, first of all.
Mhm. You're using your eyes, all right? Okay. I told you. I am telling you. Your attention is, in fact, normally below the average point. This is the possible probable power of attention, which follows a normal distribution, statistical normal distribution. Great majority of people very poor attention. You know, most of the mental disorders, mentally retarded condition, uh, uh, can be labeled under one name: attention deficit. When we call somebody mentally retarded, the basic engine that does not work in that person is attention. Now, let's talk about mental illness, the basic neurosis. Okay, one well-known kind of neurosis, let us say obsessive compulsive neurosis. A person feel like cross-checking 10 times a day whether the pipe is closed or the outlets are closed or the door is locked and so on and so forth. Again, a problem of attention. Serious illnesses at the level of manic depressive psychosis or schizophrenia, psychopathy and all that. Again, absolute division of attention. For example, a psychopath, I mean the serial killers, for example. There are many other kind of psychopathy, but serial killers are very well known. They are two different individuals because they are capable of two different sources of attention from them. Why I want you to have some minimum linkage with attention is because, as I told the other day, I want every one of you to be a mystic, to see the truth, to see the boundaries of reference and referent realities. All the so-called functions, observation, reflection, cognition, perception, create analytic thinking, okay, imagination, visualization, all this work I mean, work. Mean all this can work in a higher level only by applying the fuel and the engine of the power of attention. Look at the power of attention of a master craftsman, power of attention of a master gymnast, a master race car driver, a master martial artist, a master in performing musical instruments, the attention power of a great spy, okay? The power of attention. So from today onwards, you have to be incorporate one more topic in your search mind as a researcher. That is constant, inspired driving of your concern to understand attention. Attention is endless. Even if you try every day, still there are new orbits of attention possible. To such an extent that, like the supreme geniuses of the Indian history, okay, Vagbada or Sarangadhara or Dhanvantari or Susruta, just like that, identified the wonders or the properties of the so-called plants and the seeds and the trees and the climates. The power of attention of Bhaskara to identify distant stars and their exact measurements. Okay, that is the power of attention. They got it by the power of attention. Every animal is a master in the power of their attention, because without which they just cannot survive. A human baby is a wonder of attention. But uh, it doesn't have any self of the uh, developed human level to consider what their attentions are reaching. Okay, that's all. By the time they learn to talk about what they observe, already their attentions are all what you call, uh, chained and trapped and jailed into few little available things in the environment, operating environment, or in little bit of doing, and maybe more in mugging up or rote learning things. Whatever I have done, it's all by the power of attention only. I know. I have not learned anything. I have never been to classes properly, just by a single reading. I don't know whether anybody would believe. The people say Vivekananda could read a book once and then reproduce everything. I just read the first time seeing books, just read once, and I wrote the examination to get the topmost marks. I was known as an electronic wizard at XLR Jamshedpur. I just look at an object, I can understand what is in my own way. I know. This is a way of talking about it. I would just repair it. Once upon a time, I played almost 13 musical instruments, just like that, behaving with it. And played reasonably well, to the extent of playing it on the stage, accompanying orchestra. I am a master in making the highest possible variety of Ayurvedic preparation called a rasayana. In a mastery level, fully mastery. I invoke the form of Dhanvantari or Susruta or whoever has created it. And I become the assistant of them and I do what they tell me. It is all the attention created visualization only. And by that power of attention, their form must be definitely coming here. I have no doubt about that. And you again, as I repeat, by the power of attention of the ancient rishis, they would tell somebody, like whoever told Ahalya, be a stone, then they became a stone. Let the rain come. Okay, the rain comes. The power of attention of Ekalavya. The power of attention talked about Arjuna at a simple level. And the greatest possible human entity called Patanjali is talking about the power of attention, making a normal human being to perform, which nobody in the modern world would ever dare to imagine as their possibility. Comprehending the language of the birds and the trees and the flowers. Point number one. Point number two, to enter into the body of another person, then to disappear at will and to come back, and even interplanetary travel, all by the power of attention. This is a kind of a sales talk, so that that new trajectory, if you have taken as a part of the Genius Choice Fellow program, if you have taken the choice to take the Genius Choice in life and your activity, because that itself is a Genius Choice. That's why I said. You must master your attention. So what I mean to say is that I discovered in that process also that almost all illnesses perhaps are generated by wrong problems of switching in the center, in the brain. All illnesses are created by the brain or started. The invariant initiation, the initial what you call invariant, like we talk about invariant perception of a cup, some like thing, and the first craftsman making it into the manifest variant of a cup, a clay cup. So for highly original things, there is an invariant perception to begin with. So I developed an invariant perception that almost all illnesses begin by the switching of the neurons of the brain. Okay, the cause must be maybe somewhere in the body. Let us say poor food, poor quality food, or poison food. Okay, definitely that entered into the intestine, and the signal goes to the brain. And if the brain concedes to that, it will create further neuronal signals and send it back and create all kinds of problems. And for a mentally ill person, I have about 4 or 5 of them in Alandra main road. I have seen one of them who I observed for about 3 years. Just like that, taking what you call decayed, dirty, smelling, foul food in a plastic bag and taking the food with his hands and washing that food in the roadside, what you call old rainwater, and eating it like what you call jalebi. No problem. Because his neuronal wirings are into some other direction. That is why. A serial killer psychopath, the first one, Ripper in England, London. I think he killed some 28 or 30 people, or whatever. And entire Scotland Yard or top, whatever police force of England, they were searching for him for some 10, 12 years. And finally, when they identified and located him, he was a person who was living normally every day in the city, and they have seen him thousands of times. So the point is that that act of killing has not been done by him. Him meaning the normal Ripper, whoever is his name, I don't know. The entire invariant perception, okay, the doing, the linkaging, the intent, the process, the decision setting process of executing that so-called action of killing somebody, they were all in a totally different, what you call, totally different part of the brain. And uh, that part is completely cocoonized. So what is so brilliantly magical about it? 120 plus police officers searching for this person. No evidence. No evidence. Whatever evidence they cannot lead towards locating this person. What happened? That is indirectly the very clear evidence of the power of attention. When you read that last but 1 or 2, 3 lines of the master cook, there was no tea maker. If a tea would form by a natural process itself, how it would be? That was the kind of tea that was formed before the master Shogun. I sent a piece of 1 minute video. A master craftsman in Japan currently making knives, knife, K-N-I-F-E. This is a statement. I have covered all those critical statements. Steel is a creature. Okay, that's not connected with our current topic of attention, but the next one is I make it with the cooperation of fire, water, earth, water, whatsoever. And finally, the fifth ingredient is my heart. Whatever he says, my heart is just another word. The referent of my heart, there is nothing but the referent of what?
Being. Spirit.
Attention, the
Yeah.
power of attention. When you hate somebody, there's a different kind of attention. When you love somebody, there is another attention. When you respect somebody, there is another attention. When you despise somebody, there is another attention. Working. Of course, it is the mindset, knowledge, etc., etc. But what is linkaging? What is linkaging between what is linkaging between two variants as well as between the invariant perception getting translated, the doing of translating it into a variant, okay? Oh, at all these junctions, there is continuous roar, continuous fire of attention. With your power of attention only, you can find out what can replace your talking. Then you will be able to talk to the God. When you discover what is talking, or what should happen, which is the way to talk to the plants and the birds and the tree or the God in the details. It is not by any English or French or Latin or some Sanskrit. It should be emanating from the total being of you as an arrow of attention and reach there. Then only the plants and the birds then only the truth of entities and things and phenomena will be simply known to you, which defines what is a mystic. I'm talking about the real mystic. For example, when you are hungry, when the baby is hungry, it talks to the mother, give me food, okay? Give me food. I want food. That's the state of the body. But it needed the mediator of that learned language to communicate to the mother. Why not this directly so-called communicate? I mean, how this will convey the same thing? Because the food is required here. Or let us say, you want, sorry to say, let us say, you purchased a beautiful rose sapling and was taking care of it in your balcony or in your friend house, and it gave beautiful flowers, lightning roses, let us say. And one day you discover that it has been stolen by somebody and that person is keeping it there, okay? And let us say, you just want to give an intent that this plant would come back to you. How will you say, I intend or I want, oh my God, goddess, let that person bring the rose flower back to me? a language in Malayalam or Hindi or Tamil, it won't work. Millions of people are praying genuinely. Where it is an Islamic God or a Christian God or a Jainish God or a Hindu God or a whoever God whatsoever, that aspect just cannot understand the bloody stupid language of the human beings. Okay? They only say it is beyond everything. But let us say you want to get a help. Let us say somebody, you want to be helped. You want to get good marks in your examination. And you genuinely want to pray to your deity. What will you do? Oh, my beloved deity, please bless me. That's all. That's all that you can do. That's all that you know. Even that's a duplicated, imitated idea from somebody. It was not your discovery. The prayers of the mankind are not their discoveries. They're just duplicating, they're just imitating available stories and available lines, simply thinking, simply living in the stupid illusion that they're communicating with their God. Okay, Jesus said, belief is your power. Let them be happy with that belief, okay, but nothing happens. Praying, praying, praying. At the end of the world, they will die miserably only. And so that's a different story. This I talk to you for you to understand the truths, the invariant and the 0 to 1 or 1.5 orbits, closer to the truth of what is going on. And if you give, that is where intent comes. This is what intent is, which I did not say the other day, because unless I talk about attention, I cannot talk about this dimension, this dimension of intent. So the so-called intent in our sense of what or what Don Yuan sense or is or Patanjali sense, Patanjali. Don Yuan is or Patanjali. Because we don't have any reports about Patanjali, we have reports about Don Yuan. So this is called intent, giving an intent. Okay, Mantra Rishika? It is not talking. It is not internal subdued talking either. It is not even so-called mantras. It is just a crack. When there's a you say, you create the rabbit trap and you give an intent and the rabbit will definitely come. And you give an intent, somebody comes to you with a problem, with something, seeks your guidance. Most of the time, you may not be able to talk something very mysteriously, magically wonderful, because especially in the coming world, already in the present world, because everybody is educated and they all think that by reading the so-called self-help books, which are highly campaigned, and they will be able to liberate themselves secretly. Nothing will happen. What the point is that you may not be able to tell a person who is approaching you for guideline, something which is very different from what he or she already knows, already familiar with. But you may have to speak that. But when you speak very ordinary stuff, your intent, that energy of the intent, the attention of your intent will go there and do the needful. Because it is a nature's force, it's a powerful attention is the power of the engine of the central nervous system, the brain and the spinal cord and the autonomic nervous system altogether. The energy field force is called attention. It is not your university degree. All right, with this much introduction, let's go back to the preliminary beginning of this session. What did you do in order to look at the things around you? Come on.